Hi y'all, I'm Lonnie, the parental unit.
And I'm Kat, the offspring.
And welcome to our YouTube channel.
Guys, today's a super exciting day because we are going to ask some interview questions. And the interview questions are for authors. So my mother and I both write.
I love to write.
We're both writers, absolutely. And she's wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
She's really good at it.
She's published.
Anyways, so we found these author questions, and there are 101 of them. Obviously, we're not going to do all of those, but there are many of them that you can go through to see if you feel like a writer. So we wanted to do that with you.
And you might find this interesting because it's something we're both interested in.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%. Before we get into that, though, if you guys haven't been here before, this channel is Kat and Lonnie. Lonnie is my mother. Kat, I'm the offspring. That's why we call ourselves, the offspring in the parental unit. And what we do here is we go through questions about everything and anything.
Yeah, and we give opinions that the Gen X, which would be my generation, would give, or the Millennials, which is Kat's generation, would give. And we give a good yin-yang. So if you like hearing what maybe your mom or your daughter might think on certain issues, this is the place for you.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get started.
All right. All right. Numero uno.
Question number 1. At what point do you think someone should call themselves writer?
As soon as they feel as if they are one. I've been writing since I was old enough to write, and I'm passionate about it, and I love it, and so I consider myself a writer, even though I haven't put myself out there to be published or have the general public read what I'm writing.
See, and that's where our differences come into play, because
Right.
I feel like I've been writing since I was a teenager in high school.
And she's very good at it.
And I didn't feel like a writer until I started writing articles on Medium and putting my blog out on my website, mommomentswithkayla.com.
I didn't consider you an author until you got your books out and things, but I always knew you were a writer.
See, and difference of opinion is not a bad thing.
My husband draws. He's wonderful at it, but he's never sold anything, but I consider him an artist.
I love this. The second question is, what is the difference between a writer and an author?
Oh, wow.
So-
Okay. Well, I guess we covered that.
Yeah, the difference between a writer and an author, in like the shortest of terms, is an author is someone whose writing is published out to the general public.
Right.
And a writer is an individual who writes for the joy of writing. That could be an author. That could be an individual who chooses to write for their own self.
Somebody who's passionate about putting pen to paper.
Exactly. That we do agree on.
Yeah. Number 3. Have you ever considered writing under a pseudonym or like a ghost name?
Mm-hmm.
Why or why not?
I have, actually, for my novel. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to use a pseudonym or if I'm going to use my own.
Why?
Well, the reason for that is because my current self-published books, I have a poetry book called It's Not Poetry, and I have a book called Relationships, The Good, the Bad, and the Real.
Right.
Which is about, connecting with your spouse and things like that. Mostly self-help oriented type books.
Right.
But this book that I'm writing for my novel, it's a murder mystery book. It's a fictional piece, and
Right.
I've never written a fictional piece. So what I wanted to do is disassociate my given name from my fictional writing. So I want to have my biblical, my physical name be on all my writing that is for self-help and that is real. And I want my pseudonym to be just that of my novels, which is fiction.
Well, I mean, this is where you and I differ. I've been working on publishing books, and I have 2 in process right now, but no matter what I write, I would want my name to be on them.
It's still your name, though.
Right, I understand that, but I wouldn't use a nickname or a pseudonym or anything like that because I guess because I would be so proud of myself to be able to put myself out there, which is why I haven't done that until now, that I would want my name on it.
You might have helped me with my decision because I told you I had not
Yeah.
made the decision yet. I just
Right.
wanted people to be able to disassociate themselves from my self-help writing and my real action.
I think your readers are smart enough to disassociate your, your themes of your books without you changing your name.
Okay. All right then. Moving on.
Okay.
Next question. So what do the words writer's block mean to you? I just did a piece on curving writer's block.
I literally hate writer's block.
Yeah.
And some people do things to work through it. If I ever experience it, I immediately stop writing and go do something totally
But
different.
it asks what it meant to you, though, Mom. So what is
Hell.
writer block?
I mean, it's seriously a very painful thing for me, especially if I'm in the groove and I'm writing something that I'm passionate about, and then I just totally go ditzo. I mean, it's terrible. It really is.
Writer's block to me is that position you get in when you're in the middle of getting a story out, and there's that one word. It's like hitting a roadblock, right? It's like hitting a bump in the road on
Absolutely.
a bicycle, and you are just learning how to push the pedals. So now you've hit that pebble, we'll say, and you can't get over it because you can't find that one word that depicts what you're trying to express, and it gives you the blockage of being able to move forward. So that's what I would say writer's block means.
And
to me.
I don't try to curb it because I know the harder I try, the worse off I am and the worse down into the rabbit hole I go. So I just immediately stop writing and go do something totally different.
See, one of my ways of curving that to where I can get back into the groove is I start writing a different piece. Because I do my articles and my blogs and my books, I'll just start writing an article about something completely outside of what my book is about. And it allows me to kind of get my mind out of that. And I think of words that go with what I was blocked about, and I end up getting back to my novel.
It's very
great.
cool to see the difference between us, though, because that would just make my frustration level even more.
Really?
Yeah.
Why
because
wouldn't you just write about
I
your
can't get out of my
frustration?
own head. That's what it is. When I'm in my head, you know that. When I get on a subject, I'm in my head, and it's
Right.
in there.
Right.
Well, if writer's block is my subject, I'm doomed. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I get that. I get that.
Okay. How do you process and deal with negative book reviews? Okay, this I have not had to worry about because the only negativity I would get would be from family or friends, which is the only people in the world who've ever read anything I've written. Other than
J.K.
school
Rowling
stuff.
had given a great note of this that I took with me when I was first getting ready to publish my book. That's what I was so afraid of, was criticism, ridicule, and negative notions.
Right.
And she said that people are going to criticize you, good or bad, regardless of what you do.
Right.
If you are present with yourself and understanding your literature and you get it out there to the masses, if they decide to ridicule you based off of something, you can't please every human being in the world. There's somebody's going to dislike your work. And that's how I rationalize the irritations that come from that, is that somebody's going to dislike it. Whether I was aiming to meet this person or this person or this person, somebody's going to dislike the book.
I think a lot of mine is because I'm so private about my writing and so personal to me. So my fear is what's kept me from publishing up until now. So the
Tell her to do it,
negativity
guys.
to me would be, I would take it personal, like they were negative toward me and not just my writing, and that's where I run into problems.
Yeah,
I
you gotta
should disassociate.
Right.
Right.
You gotta separate that out. But to help you with your fear, I hope, is that there's always going to be somebody that dislikes something you've done. Period.
Right.
So,
and you've, not talked me into, but you've encouraged me enough to where I'm writing now and for the main goal of publishing. So that's
excited.
good.
All right. Here we go. Next one. Are there therapeutic benefits to molding a character after someone you know? Yes, 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 yes. And I don't know if you've done this before or not. Hold on. What, Lily? Go on. Yes. Okay.
Sam probably said no.
So I have connected about 5 or 6 individuals in my novel to people that I spend a lot of my time with. And the reason for that is because it gives me... All right, then.
They're coming to take us away.
This is possible. It gives me a good understanding of the characters right off the rip. So I can mold and create those characters in such a way that they're not 100% those people, but I know how they talk. I know how they're going to act. I know their mannerisms based off of that. So yeah, it gives me a therapeutic feeling that I'm not going to stress so much about expressing those things.
For me, it would be therapeutic simply because like of a journal writing, when you journal write to get out of depression or what have you, you're writing about people in your everyday life. So to me, if you equate that to a novel or a piece of work you're writing, that just gives you, peace of mind, just like a journal would.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Next question, woman.
What is the most difficult part of your writing process?
The outline.
Mine is like putting pen to paper, is the actual starting. It's kind of like, you remember when you went bungee jumping and your brother stood on the edge and would not jump off until after you did?
I remember.
Well, that's me standing on the edge and not jumping. Right. It takes me a long time. Once my pen goes to paper and I start writing, I'm off to gangbusters. But before that, that's the hardest part for me, is to actually get started.
So my process always starts with an outline, and I outline each chapter. So basically I write what I want the book to be about, then I write each chapter of where I want things to go, and then I start descripting characters, right? Like, that's the way I do it. And
I'm organic, and I start from the beginning. I outline nothing, just like that paper I wrote when we were in college.
So there are two types of writers, and we have two types sitting here, guys. So there's two types of writers. There's outliners, and then there's pantsers. And pantsers are people who write by the seat of their pants, like Stephen King does that.
That's me.
He has a general idea, but for the most part,
Absolutely.
everything comes.
Yeah.
Whereas I like to be organized. I'm a very detail-oriented individual. It's almost scary. So I have to have everything outlined. And that's why it's so difficult for me, is because I want that to be perfect before I start writing.
I like spontaneity, because if I have that all paced out, I feel like that's my guideline and I can't stray from it. And if I come up with this great idea that veers from that, then I get mad at myself.
That's a good thought.
Yeah.
All right. So how long have you been writing, or when did you start?
When I was in kindergarten, I wrote a book called Fish. Oh, I am published. Oh,
you
my.
Published.
I wrote a book called Fishing with My Daddy, and it is in the Norwood High School library still.
Yeah.
So I wrote that when I was in kindergarten. So yes, I did write an actual book that you can touch and turn pages.
And she's brilliant. Don't let her lie
Oh,
to
stop.
you.
And that was almost 50 years ago. Let's not talk about that.
Oh, God, you're old. All right,
oh, yes, I am.
I started writing my freshman year of high school. Some of you have heard, I'm sure, if you've watched us before, I was in a class with individual, he was my teacher. His name was Dr. Robert Lawson. He was the most phenomenal teacher I had ever had, and he reached me on a level that other teachers did not, because he gave me this world that was outside of anything that I lived in. You could make and create anything you wanted through writing. So I started writing poetry. I was 15 years old, 14, 15 years old.
14 or 15, yeah.
And I had been writing poetry on and off throughout, and I wrote the eulogy when my daughter passed. I wrote a poem for her the day she passed, which sadly we'll never publish.
I write things at church, things like that.
Right.
I mean, for Dad to read.
So you were 4 or 5 years old, and I was 15, I think, when we started writing. Your turn.
What advice would you give to a writer working on their first book? Wonderful. You've already written yours and I'm writing mine. So great. You can give me the advice.
Absolutely. So the advice would be to push away fear. That was the biggest hurdle that I ran into. I was so terrified.
I'm working on that.
What happened is that, I had been writing my book for over a year, guys, and it was it was 30 pages. Look, it's very, very, very small. And
it's wonderful, by the way.
It took me a year, and I still had mistakes. I've updated the manuscript of that book 3 times, because I did make mistakes, because I was terrified and I let my jitters get the best of me, and that's the biggest thing. And the second is to just write. Don't think about writing. I'm gonna get to it tomorrow. I'm gonna do this. I have plans for this. Just do it.
I second guess myself and talk myself right out of it. I do it all the time.
Those are the best things that you can do. It's kind of like starting a YouTube channel. Everybody said, I'm serious. Everybody says,
we have done that.
To do it, don't talk about doing it. Just do it. If it sucks at the beginning, so what?
And truthfully, I had been wanting to start a YouTube channel for months, y'all. She knows.
Mm-hmm.
And without her support, I would never have done it.
And my obsession with detail and organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
But being a pantser is not a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's not. In some aspects, I am. Like when I do things with my kids, I don't like to plan things to go out and go to the park and stuff like that, because I'm always afraid that I'll tell them we're going and we won't be able to go. So I want to be a pantser in that aspect. Next question. Wait.
Number 10.
What to you are the most important elements of good writing? You and I will differ here.
I believe it's a good imagination and the passion for it. It can't be something that you want to do just because it's trendy or because someone else does it. You have to actually live it and feel it inside of you and have the passion for it and love it.
I'm really mad because you missed something that you literally just said to me before we started recording.
Oh, I truly believe in good grammar and punctuation. I believe that that's the cornerstone to anything written. I believe the English language has been just thrown to the wayside, and hey yo has become an actual sentence.
It is, though.
I believe in beautiful the English language was a beautiful language at one time, and it still could be again if people would write or read it or say it the way it was meant to be said.
But my answer is the same as the first answer you gave, which is I believe
imagination is the most important key to being a writer.
Imagination and passion. Whether you can write or not, that's what you pay someone to edit for. If you can't be perfect at punctuation and grammar and things like that, that's fine. If you have a passion for creating something and it's your voice, it's your ideas, that is what makes a meaningful writer.
I am in 100% agreement with you, but that's why editors exist, because it needs to be done before the published product goes out.
That's absolutely
And it has to be done correct. That's what I meant. First, when someone sees it, like either on the screen or on the page, it should be done correctly. Otherwise, it's an organic process, and it comes from within. And if you don't have that, it's like my husband is a wonderful artist, but he was born with that.
Oh, yeah.
I could try my whole life and never be that good because he was born with it. She's wonderful too.
I wouldn't say wonderful, but I like to draw.
You are wonderful.
Oh.
But I believe that I have the drive and the passion to be a writer. Even my ex-husband, who I've been divorced from for a good number of years.
Wait. I was 9, and so that was 21 years ago. Whoo, buddy.
And so I divorced my ex-husband 21 years ago, but he always believed that I should write.
He still does.
My father always believed that I should write a book. My mother always encouraged me to write a book because they saw in me when I wrote when I was in kindergarten and the things I write for publications for the church and things of that nature, and just Christmas cards that I write little stanzas in.
The key point here is that you don't have to have perfect punctuation and perfect grammar to write a book.
Oh, no.
If you have an imagination and a passion for something, don't stray away from it because you can't put words together the way that you believe someone should interpret it. That is what an editor does. A writer is the one who brings the imagination and that passion that is looked for in writing. I don't ever want anybody to feel like because they can't get the correct punctuation put in that they should never publish a book.
Right. Well, I mean, it helps, but it's kind of like being a dress designer.
We are going to fight.
You can design a dress, but you don't have to be able to sew it.
Exactly. Okay. Yes. Moving on. Next question.
The next question is, what to you are the most... Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
What comes first for you, the plot or the characters, and why?
The plot always comes first for me. Always. Always. It's that immediate thought of what I want a book to be. And then I add the characters and connect them to the plot. And it's always been the easiest thing for me. So that's what I do.
It's the same way with me.
Yeah.
I think you have to have a general foundation of what you're going for before you add the players into it.
Exactly. Now, when you were creating a series, though, like my novel, we're thinking about making it a 3-book series. And if that's the case, my second and third book in that series will be based off the characters at that point, not the plot. So
I have a side note. You were talking about Stephen King. Did you know he threw Carrie away?
Threw it away?
Yeah, his first draft, like the first few chapters of Carrie, he was supposed to send in to the publisher. That was his first book.
Yeah.
He threw it completely away. His wife dug it out of the trash.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Really? That's
I heard that
awesome.
story, and it's wonderful because that gives me hope, because he thought it was trash. He didn't like it all. He didn't
phenomenal.
like it at all. Yeah, it was one of
The
one of my
movie wasn't
favorite.
as good as the book.
It's one of my favorite Stephen King books, but he did literally physically throw it into the trash can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna skip number 12, guys. We'll have this in the description below, so you guys can go and look through it. So
okay.
we're gonna pick some ones that we want you guys to be able to go through with us. So
yeah, some of them are doldrum. We just want interesting facts.
yes, exactly. Well, and because we've kind of answered number 12 already,
Right.
a little bit. When did you first call yourself a writer? Like, what was the moment that you went, yes, I'm a writer. Yes, I am.
When I was 5. But, I mean, I was very excited. I was calling people, my mom was calling relatives, and I was telling people, that I wrote a book, and they were flipping out and saying, no, that's very cute. And I'm not like, no, seriously, I read a book. But yeah, that's when. But like that just got away from me after. And like I wrote a lot in high school and in college, but then I had children and I was a mom. And that came before everything for a long time. And then I got back to it.
Okay. So February 18th is the day that I called myself to other individuals a writer. It was the day that my first book published.
Yeah, and you and I differ there.
Right.
I started calling you an author then, but I figure you were already a writer.
Right. But
Yeah.
when someone asked me like what my occupation was before that date, it was always I'm in the clerical field, I was a trainer for this
Right.
long, or I'm a stay-at-home mother. I never, even when I was writing my poetry book the whole time, I never described to another person that that is what I was.
Right.
Does that
I
make
mean,
sense?
yes, but see, that's my little blog. Author. What do you do for a living? I'm an author. But a writer is different.
I guess the reason I don't call myself like just specifically an author is because I do more than just create and publish books. I write articles, I create blog content.
Yeah, but you're the author of that blog content.
This is
Author
true.
covers that.
We're gonna fight back and forth about this too.
Yes.
We're gonna skip number 14. You don't
Skip
have
16 too.
Yeah. So hold on, guys. Hold on. We're getting there. Okay.
Oh, this is about the book.
Okay. So this is about the book. So this would be questions.
So we would skip that
we
section.
will have to
Because
because
this is
you don't
about
have
an
an
individual
actual
book. Right.
Hold on, guys. And I'll skip this, Mom.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, here we
We
go.
just went over
We'll
this one.
skip that one though.
Okay, so here's a good one. What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
Quiet.
Instrumental music.
I'm really big on quiet. Anything, even instrumental music, distracts me. I don't want TV on. I don't want the radio on. I don't want instruments. I don't want breathing. It's very nice to me to be in a room. I live in a basement, y'all, so it's great. Where it's totally quiet. She has 4 kids. She can't live in that environment. But totally quiet is wonderful to me.
I have to put a pair of headphones on and play Mozart. And as soon as the music comes on, guys, I mean, it's like off with the races. I immediately start writing. A minute with that sound comes, it's just like a big relaxation.
But that's a good thing.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, go ahead and read one. You can.
If you
it's
were
your
to
turn.
write a spin-off about a side character, which would you pick? Okay, this is like about somebody who's published. So we're going to get, all right,
Yeah,
it has a
'cause-
novel. So we're
okay.
going to, if you could spend a day with another popular author, who would you choose? Walt Whitman.
J.K. Rowling. I would give anything, literally, and I would give my right leg to meet J.K. Rowling.
Ernest Hemingway. Robert Frost.
James Patterson.
Dean Koontz.
James Patterson's a good author. Guys, we could go all day, and
But my favorite book in the world is Leaves of Grass, Walt Whitman. So if you get a chance, it's timeless poetry. It's wonderful.
okay, let's see. What is your favorite writing snack or drink?
Coca-Cola.
Monster is life, y'all.
And I love hummus and pretzels.
Every time I start writing, I make egg salad. When I start a new chapter.
Ooh, I
for
love
the
egg
novel,
salad.
Egg salad, homemade. It's gotta be. I can't buy store-bought egg salad. It's gotta be homemade egg salad. And I made Grandpa's potato salad the other day when I was doing my article.
Here's a question for you.
Okay.
How do you celebrate when you finish your book?
Well, the first thing is that I tell my husband I'm proud of myself about 90,000 times. And I immediately start calling everyone, it's finally finished, it's finally done. But the greatest part about, like, once I finished a book is creating the cover. Like, that's my celebratory moment. I don't go over the cover or anything about the cover until the book is finished. And then I can, make it however. Like, my relationship book, I made it very toned down, muted color. And the reason I did that is because it was a book that I wanted people to get a cooling feeling from, because it's about connection and relationships, and most people who are wanting to read those have a stress level that's extremely high. Mm-hmm. But then it's not poetry book. I made it look like paint splattered all over
Right.
and stuff, because it's about the hectic life of a mother. So I wanted them to kind of coincide with the material inside the books. So that's probably what I do to celebrate.
Okay.
What is your kryptonite as a writer?
Noise. A lot of noise. I can't handle it. Especially people talking like from different directions. It totally knocks me off.
Frustration. When I'm angry, I cannot write. If I'm mad about something, my writing comes out in anger, and I write about anger.
That's weird. Because when I'm mad, I can write 4 pages.
But
because I want to take myself away from what's making me frustrated and dive into the fantasy land of whatever I'm writing.
I clean to do that.
Yeah.
I clean when I'm mad. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and ask 2 more, and then we're going to be done. 2 more. Yay. All right. So you go ahead and pick one.
All right. What risks have you taken with your writing that have paid off?
Risks have I published something. I published something.
Yeah, and I have taken no risk.
That's a
at
risk
all. None.
for me. Because I never thought that my book would sell, my poetry book especially. I never thought. It would. Because poetry is such it's a lowered down form of writing now. It's
Absolutely.
not,
I just talked about that. The English language has gone awry. But
right. My poetry is not anything like, from back in like...
It's not a sonnet book.
Right. It's not beautiful and romantic.
It's beautiful in its own way.
You know what I mean, though? It's not the elegant, like when you read it, it doesn't sound like syrup dripping off of you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
it's not sonnets that were written in the 1800s, but it is beautiful.
I appreciate it. But that's probably the biggest risk that I've taken. Let's see. Hold on. What is the most valuable piece of advice you have ever been given about writing?
Don't write with your head, write with your heart.
Remember who you are. Mom, when I was 17. Yes. Because I was writing something for English class. I don't know if you remember. Holly Woodruff had me writing some kind of storyline, and they you know the thing where they give you like a place and a person, and you're supposed to create this scenario, and every scenario is supposed to come out differently because everybody has their own thoughts and feelings. And the reason that she told me to remember who I was is because I was trying to write to Miss Woodruff. So I wanted to do what I thought she was going to like. I hated it. I didn't write what I liked. I didn't write what interested me, and that was the problem. That's why the writing came out so bad, is because you always have to write for, you want to write for your readers, but you want to love what you write.
And that's exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
Write from your heart, not from your head.
Right. Exactly. It's just... We could go. I don't know about you, but
we are passionate about writing and books, y'all. If you ever want us to do a video that, I don't know, reviews a book,
I'm down.
Or anything like
I've
that.
got Casey Davis's book down here,
yeah,
and we can review that for days.
Give us a comment down there. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and that post notification bell. We upload these things 2 times a day, and they're always different, and we would like them to be fun. Yep, 2 times.
2 times a week.
I would like to do them 2 times a day.
No, I'm good on all that. All right, guys, thanks for coming by to see us. We had a great time.
I had a great time.
I did. I had a great time. So thanks, everybody.
See you on the next one.
Bye.